Not gonna lie, I'm honestly just making this for my own peace of mind, but today I'm gonna be clearing up some misconceptions or just not very good takes that I've heard in my couple years of being a Jujutsu Kaisen fan. And not gonna lie, I will get very annoying and petty about some of the stuff I talk about. Starting with a big one. At one point, many people were convinced that the cast of JJK couldn't see Sukuna's tattoos or markings. I really don't know where on this side of the galaxy people got that from, but I feel the need to clarify that yes, Sukuna's tats or markings or whatever are visible to the cast. The reason people confuse Itadori and Sukuna is because it's usually their first time seeing either character. Like when Gojo wonders if Itadori is himself or Sukuna at the beginning of the series. It's not that they look the same in either state, it's that characters don't know for certain if him not having the tats means that he's not Sukuna. And we see that it is possible for Sukuna to fake being suppressed. Some have said that only cursed spirits can see the tattoos, which just links back to the understanding that Sukuna is a cursed spirit, which is a misunderstanding. A crazy one too, because does Sukuna just look like this to all the humans then? To be fair, for people who aren't fantastic at reading, I'm sure Sukuna constantly being referred to as a curse will confuse you. But the talk of Sukuna being a curse is just him being pure evil, beyond redemption and monstrous, and so is equated to a curse. What he is the incarnation of a special grade cursed object that holds his soul. Sukuna was a human who's dead, but not really. Another thing about Sukuna I've been wanting to talk about for months is how and why he looks like that. Many people are under the impression that Sukuna got his powerful, monstrous, efficient, tall, muscly, perfect, sexy body from him performing rituals. These people seem to leave it up to the fact that it's never told to us how he looks like this to support this theory. And saying it out loud, I'm pretty sure these fuckers are just contrarians. Like, why would anyone question why Sukuna looks this way in verse? It's been well established that you can be born with traits warped by cursed energy, like the Six Eyes, or the different cursed energy that Hikari and Kashima were born with, or even Kokichi Muta's heavenly restriction. It's also implied that having twins in the Jujutsu world is auspicious, as they're often treated like the same person, meaning their abilities are often split in two. That's why Mai's curse technique was so shit, and why Maki didn't have the same level of heavenly restriction Toji did. Sukuna ate or absorbed his twin into the womb, and that likely had some kind of effect on his body, which enhanced by Jujutsu turned him into this. So why would anyone knowledgeable in Jujutsu question why he looks like that instead of how they compete with that? How anyone could fail to pick up on this, I really don't know, but honestly, look at my fandom, dog. More Sukuna before we move on. His name is not Ryomen Sukuna.
That famous?
Ryomen Sukuna is an imaginary fierce god with 4 arms and 2 faces. But he once existed as an actual human being, although it was over 1,000 years ago. In the golden age of Jujutsu, sorcerers gathered all their might to challenge him, and failed. Crowned with the title of Sukuna, we couldn't even destroy his grave wax as he traversed the ages after death as a cursed object. Without a doubt, he is the king of curses.
Ryomen means two-faced or double-sided, so when people write his name like Sukuna Ryomen, even by the Japanese way of writing names, it's still wrong. Moving away from Sukuna, but not really at the same time, I really hate the idea that Gojo couldn't see Sukuna's slashes. Because this hinges on very poor proof. The slashes are cursed energy. Gojo can see cursed energy at a level much higher than that of regular sorcerers. Sukuna's slashes are supposedly invisible, but they're still cursed energy. If Gojo couldn't see them, he wouldn't be able to block them. The slashes don't make any sound, they likely don't have any smell, so how else would he be able to block them? He would have to be able to see them. And for anyone who plans on bringing up Big Raga, actually, you know what? I'm just going to show you these pages and let you figure out what happened. Moving on, genuinely. Gojo Satoru, not Gojo Satoru. And no, Gojo is not his first name. The amount of times I've seen motherfuckers call him Gojo Satoru and then call Itadori Yuji Itadori at the same time. It's hilarious. And I realize every time I talk about Japanese names I sound like this nigga, but God forbid a nigga wants some consistency! Naobito was a nice guy. Honestly, I can't tell if this is the work of an agenda or just the fact that people can only ever seem to be good or bad nowadays. It's so strange. It could just be because of Naoya existing, but I really want to make it clear that no, Naobito was not a good guy. He was just as elitist and hateful as the rest of the Zenin clan. The only difference being that he was given some more personality before being killed. But it's very clear that he looked down on Maki and wanted to make her and her sister's life as hard as possible, causing Mai to resent her and constantly keeping Maki stuck as a grade 4 sorcerer despite being on a level comparable to... So no, actually, Naobito Zenin was not a nice guy. It's so weird how much you guys are willing to play D for people who have just, like, personalities. Like, it's very weird. It reminds me of like the people who unironically supported the Empire over the rebels just because they had more drip. Toji versus Maki. This is so easily one of the worst misconceptions of the whole series. Because it's one of those cases where it's actually spelled out for the audience, but they still misunderstand it. Or rather, they choose to misunderstand it. It's like when people say Miles Morales isn't Spider-Man, when there's a whole ass quote from one of the creators himself. You'll never be able to convince someone who believes that either character will win than neither one would. And the reasons for either character winning from either side is always some dumb shit. People on Maki's side use the fact that she lives longer than Toji and so gets stronger due to being in more fights, presumably. Despite the fact that Heavenly Restriction doesn't work like that as far as we know. Like, they aren't Broly Dog, they don't just get stronger by fighting. And they use her fights with Sukuna, even though she was up against a weakened Sukuna both times and snuck attack him the second time. I guess that's just a Heavenly Restriction trait. And she still got bitched anyway! Whereas people on Toji's side will argue that he has more experience, which is a stupid point, and I'll elaborate more on that in my Maki video. So I'd spare your comments. Ha! You ain't gonna do that. Come on. You're just desperate to prove how right you are. They'll also say that Toji has ranged weapons, which gives him an edge. See, now you're really grasping at straws. Considering how both can move faster than sound, and even a pre-awakened Maki could catch a bullet easily, a gun ain't doing a damn thing. And the only other ranged weapon I know of is the inverted spear of heaven with a chain attached to it, which really isn't very hard to deal with. Just break the chain or grab the spear. If Toji has such a high battle IQ like you all suggest, then he would know to just not do that. Finally, there's the IQ argument. I really hate this argument because you can literally just go in circles even though the answer is so clear. Toji and Maki have both proven themselves to be intelligent and strategic fighters. You could place either character in the same situation and they would have done the exact same thing. The only difference being that Maki is most likely not willing to shoot a 13-year-old in the head. And I'm gonna have to spin back on that in my Maki video too, fuck's sake. And both get IQ mocked by Todo. A quick tip, when the creator explicitly tells you something, believe it and shut up, okay? And don't hit me with that death of the author bullshit, you don't understand what that means. Reverse curse technique. This is quite funny because in a way this could probably even be its own video, or at least like a minute rant, but I feel like it's just best to kill this bird with a stone right now. I've seen people, right, complain about certain characters not using a reversal, or speculating on what curse technique reversal would be for their innate curse technique. And some people even wonder why Akutami didn't write certain characters with a reversal. And it's so hilarious because everyone seems to have an answer except the one that actually makes the most sense. I've seen someone try to say that the reason why certain characters don't have a curse technique reversal is because Akutami just didn't think of it, and that the characters that did have it were given aura and hype moments. You can check that out on Reddit. But I think it's safe to say the real reason is that they don't fucking need reversals, and reversals don't make sense for them. Okay, let me ask you something. What is Sukuna's curse technique reversal? I need you to think about this for a minute. If the whole point of shrine is that it's basically a metaphor, it's basically a cooking metaphor, right? You got cutting, cleaving, cooking, right? What would be the reverse of that? Think about it. What is the reverse of cooking? It's not freezing. That's just preserving food. That's just storing food. That's not the reverse of cooking food, because you're gonna cook it later. Or like, even for the flame arrow. What is the reverse of fire? It's not water and it's not ice. Water and fire are not actually like opposite things. You guys know that, right? They're just like semantic, you know what I mean? Like compare fire and water to say anti-gravity and gravity, or convergence and divergence. You see how that doesn't match up. You see how that doesn't work, right? Let's do another. What would be the reversal of curse manipulation? Human manipulation, obviously. But why would Gato want that? Why would he want that? Especially since, if we're being actually logical about this here, this would only really be useful with sorcerers, which are the exact demographic of people he wouldn't want to use that technique on. That's another problem. It's just not narratively fitting for them to have reversal. Why the fuck? I've seen people, like, back to Shrine, I've seen people talk about a reverse version of Shrine repairing things rather than cutting them. Why the fuck would Sukuna want that? Sure, you can make an argument for Itadori, but that it's also not his technique, it's Sukuna's. And again, what I said with the cooking metaphor. Why would Sukuna want that? He wouldn't. Or even Kenjaku. That has no real use for Kenjaku either. When I see people talk about the reversals of techniques or why certain characters don't have them or this, that, the other, it just reminds me of like people wondering why certain characters don't hit Black Flash, you know? Truly a Jujutsu Kaisen plantain conversation. My god, the reason is so simple, because it wouldn't make sense for them to have a curse technique reversal. It is that simple. Hoshi Kirara's gender. This is so widely debated. It's scary how invested people are about a character's gender. This whole thing is just a Gojo Gato situation all over again. I choose to believe that Hoshi is trans, or at least trans-coded. They're clearly supposed to be transgender, but potentially due to the perception of trans people, or maybe just editorial, really, Hoshi can't be explicitly trans. Of course, I'm saying this with the assumption that translations and subtitles don't have Hoshi's pronouns as she, her, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't actually care about this character much, but for what it's worth, from when I last read JJK, they were referred to with they, them pronouns. I mean, unless there's any proof of Hoshi just straight up being a femboy, making Hakari effectively gay. But seriously, the way many of you guys try to twist characters constantly to make them fit your worldview and biases is unhealthy and weird. I ain't even saying to not believe necessarily, but if you have those views, at least latch them onto characters and stories that actually embody those views. Wrapping this up with one more point. Some people have been or were confused on why Itadori and Modulo is unaging. Some have suggested it was because of Sukuna, and no, definitely not. Sukuna was human too. Him being an incarnated sorcerer has nothing to do with not aging, especially not when Sukuna is no longer a part of Itadori. Itadori not aging is because of his half-cursed spirit's physiology that he got from eating the cursed womb paintings that didn't incarnate. This is also why he's able to regenerate easier due to being able to use regular curse energy to regenerate. Kind of funny how Itadori became more of a curse than the guy who frequently thought of himself as one. Anyways, that's gonna do it. This is, I guess part 1 or like a prequel. Think of it like the Heart series, but for my next JJK video, which will be about Maki. Anyways, I hope you learned something new today, and if you have any concerns, consult the manga.
Oh,